We here.
We
What's
are
up?
here.
What's up? Happy
Happy
Monday.
Monday.
That's a fact, man. Shout out to the 916. They in the building. That's Cali. 909. They in the building.
That's fire.
Also Cali. I think that's 916 is Sacramento. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Monty. That's what Google said. 909. San Bernardino, LA region. Shout out to y'all.
IE.
What's good with y'all?
That's the IE.
Roxbury. Yeah. Shout out to Massachusetts. I won't say the city's name. I'm just a diehard Yankee fan, so we're just not gonna do that. But all love to you up there. Happy Monday, y'all. Welcome back. Ian, how you feeling, my brother?
Amazing. I would not want to be Jesse today. So
you don't say.
Thank y'all for being here.
Boy, done shut down the world. Shotty, how we feeling?
Feel good, man. What's up? What's up with y'all out there? Y'all good?
It's a blessed Monday. I know it was a big Monday weekend in Atlanta. Shout out to all the Morehouse grads. Shout out to all the Spelman grads. I think it was their homecoming out there.
Yeah, shout out to Spelman.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, orders for Jess. Happy birthday. She shared another one. And congrats, huge congrats to our brother MG, the mortgage guy, on his brand new blessing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mom and dad are both healthy and safe. Baby girl is here. So congrats to him, man. Looking like her pops already. Man, I'm praying some sleep, some rest for you,
for
man.
Real rest, my brother. Ooh, boy.
We all remember that journey, man. And you are blessed to have it go through it again.
For real.
Shout out to you, my brother.
Gang. Yeah, man. Shout out to DC. We're gonna be out there this weekend for EY University. Howard homecoming. We will be in the building.
Oh, it's gonna be a time.
Perhaps.
Yes, sir.
Perhaps.
Howard homecoming. We will be in the building. EY University meetup. Shout out to the DMV. Shout out to Montgomery County. Shout out to PG County, District of Columbia, Northern Virginia. I used to live in Maryland, so I was in Club Love and H2O. And man, these DC's a good time. It's always been a good time in DC. Always been a good time.
City.
Blackout conversation.
Chocolate City.
Top 5.
For sure. Top 3.
Perhaps.
Top 3.
Perhaps.
All right. Yeah, shout out to DC, man.
Yeah.
This week we got Blackout. We got a lot to talk about on Blackout.
A lot to talk about. Yep.
There's been a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about on Blackout, and then we will have Earn Your Leisure. We got a special episode with my guy Robert from Shark Tank.
Oh, that's fire.
It's only one shark that we haven't spoken to yet. But we're closely closing out the Shark Tank loop. So shout out to Robert. We did that interview live in Las Vegas as part of the Shark Tank Clover convention that they had.
Yep. Shout out to the Clover team.
We're gonna air that on Thursday, 6:00 on Thursday. Make sure you check it out.
Yeah, that was a good one. Sometimes you sit in an interview and obviously you're asking questions, but sometimes the answers are so profound that you catch yourself like making mental notes and even sometimes writing notes like, damn, that's a bar. That's something right there. And that was definitely one of them. Dope experiences. Like you said, we knocking down pretty much all of the sharks to the point where it's like, yo, we might have to be guest hosts on the show. You never know.
You never know.
Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, and Rob's a great entrepreneur, humble, bunch of wisdom. Please tune in to the episode. That's going to be a really good one.
Yeah, Mr. Wonderful. That's the only one that we haven't spoken to yet. We spoke to Damon John. We spoke to Mark Cuban twice. Just did Robert. We spoke with who else?
Barbara.
Lorianne, we didn't get
shout
yet.
out to Barbara. So yeah.
Yes, Lorianne and
Lorianne and Mr. Wonderful. Yep. Those two.
So we got two left.
Two left.
Yeah. It's a hell of a track record though.
Could be worse. You know what I mean? Yeah, it could be worse. Yeah.
For sure. Ian, any announcements?
Yeah, Stock Club call will be this Sunday at 5 p.m. Central. I may have a special guest there by the name of T. Roy Millings. So I'll see you Sunday at 5 p.m. Bloomberg Nicole, get your questions ready for me. We will be covering futures, our part 3 of that series. And what else? Dubai, see you soon. And Habibi. And if you want to get rich in the market and want to know how to navigate all this tumult that we're going through, go to eaninvest.com. If you want to know where to get in, where to get out, a bunch of them prices were hidden last week. If you want to know where to get in, where to get out, the 3 best places to get in for every stock that you love and that will make you money, go to eaninvest.com. And if I made you money, please put yes in chat. Let's have an amazing show.
Yeah, man, let's do that. I'm excited. I'm excited to join the call. I think this is a perfect combination. Like I said, Market Money is obviously the best investment show. But these classes, these calls, they be so
Legendary,
information packed. It's just like the last time we did it, the return was ridiculous. So I'm looking forward to it this weekend.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, y'all know how this works, man. This is our disclaimer. Do your own research, please, 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 please. Our content is intended to be used and must be used for informational purposes only. It is very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with, or independently research and verify any information that you find on our show and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. Y'all know how this works. This message is brought to you by the good brothers at Earn Your Leisure and the good brother Ian Dunlap, the master investor himself. Share the research. Continue to share the research. Let's build community. Let's build our brokerage accounts. Let's win.
Yeah.
We only got a few years left.
For sure. Public service announcement. Magic said 3. Stock Club in 15 months. Things are about to get really tricky.
We better win now. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Murky waters, man. Salute to Charlamagne too. We're gonna be talking about that on Blackout. But I watched that interview with Gucci, man. That was a very good interview.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was dope. That was dope.
I watched the whole thing.
He sat down with
Big facts.
I'm talking this weekend. He was actually in Alabama. He sat down with Kamala.
Yeah,
Charlamagne. Yeah.
Salute to Charlamagne, the whole Breakfast Club. But shout out to Gucci, man. Shout out to his wife. That was a very, very good interview. I highly suggest that. Well, we're going to, like I said, we're going to talk about it on Blackout.
Honesty, authenticity, vulnerability, all that. Shout out to Gooch. Go out. That was dope. That's growth. That's the evolution when we talk about our artists and like some of our legends. To know where they came from, to watch them evolve, to mature. Love it.
And amazing to have a person in your corner who's your eyes and good counsel and guiding you what you should and should not do. I know he didn't listen, but even the offer, that's beautiful. Beautiful. She deserves a lot of credit for help turning his life around.
Yo, man, I mean, you get you a good Jamaican woman, that could happen.
Line it up. Back in my old bag.
You feel me?
Line it up, my boy. Wagwan. You want Kiki?
Let's get the gunshots going. Let's do this.
All right. So let's talk about it. All right. There's a lot going on. But first, I want to start. Let's start with some real estate. We haven't spoken about real estate in a while. So I do want to talk about real estate. Real Estate Chronicles. You know, if you've been following the journey as far as been pretty transparent about this real estate debacle that I got myself into a few years ago as far as building a home. Highly don't suggest it to anybody. Highly unsuggestible. But it's a learning process for sure. So one thing that I actually did learn that I think I was talking to Troy about it, I think is helpful to actually share the information is that so a lot of times what contractors do is that they make money on a few different ways, but they make money on the markup of things. So it's like if you're buying flooring, right? Let's say hypothetically the flooring costs $20,000. And well, they get discounts. And depending on how much stuff that they buy, they get a discount, they get tax-free, stuff like that. So it might actually cost 20, but they might actually get it for, let's say, 17.
Yep.
But they'll charge you 25. So they actually making almost, because who's really going to check every single thing to see? And it's not too far from the actual truth. So it's not like they charging you 60,000 where you're going to actually investigate it, right? They charge you 50, they charge you 25. You're like, all right, even if they got, with taxes, but you don't know if they actually got discounted, not even paying taxes. So they actually making almost an $8,000 spread on that.
A small VIG, but it's a VIG nonetheless.
Adds up though.
It adds up over you. Yep.
Adds up. So one of the things that I always, like I said, I was talking to him about it. And what I do, I got a contractor that I've developed a relationship with, good Palestinian brother. And I appreciate him because what it's kind of annoying at first, but it's kind of fire. Cause I've turned into like the leg man on, like I'm going with him every single where to buy it. But I appreciate it because I'm seeing in real time. He's showing me like, all right, this is the discount, and like I just paid with your credit card. So he's not getting any markup on it. Like I said, it's a little annoying because I've turned into a general contractor. Like I'm literally driving 45 minutes on a Saturday to go to flooring and decor in Connecticut. But I'm seeing now, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know that they didn't have to pay taxes. I didn't know that. So I'm like, well, that's actually pretty insightful. So I would highly recommend, if you're building a home or if you're dealing with a general contractor, if they're not going to take that route and you're actually not going to go there, which show the receipt before reimbursement, show the receipt because the just trust me game. And like I said, it adds up 8,000 here, 7,000 here, 4,000 here. Before you know it,
they put their kids through college.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
No, it's filthy work. And I think one of the beautiful things is that like the things that he's dealing with now, I've kind of dealt with it as well. Just in my own way, right? And so what I actually did, and this is interesting too, and I'm sure there's plenty of people out here, I just went to Home Depot because that's literally what happened. Not his contractor, although I have worked with him. Another contractor actually uses discount for my windows. And if you know windows, they could be extremely pricey and they could get delayed. And when he ordered it, he left his order number. So when I went back to return it, I actually saw the order number. And I was like, yo, that's a difference of at least $12,000.
He charged you $12,000 more?
More, right? So when I had to get reimbursed, I said, well, how is he getting the discount? And so went to Home Depot and they said, if you spend over a certain amount, you technically can be a part of the Pro Extra Loyalty program. So if you spend over a certain amount every year, then you can get that. And so now I have a pro account. And so I don't actually need the contractor. I can go purchase this on my own, right? With the use of AI and figure out what I need specifically for my home, right? So if it was flooring or if it was windows or if it was sheetrock, I can actually go get that on my own, right? So then he doesn't even have to do the discount thing. So like that is one thing that you learn during this process is that you go into it thinking that you're a home buyer and you slowly start realizing that you're a general contractor, you're an interior designer, you're like an electrician, you're a plumber. You're doing all these things because you're watching everybody, because every person that's there is getting paid and it's your money that's paying for it. And so there's a different level of attention that you're going to pay to it. But and we had this conversation yesterday in the driveway and I'm like, it's a tedious journey. It's a very difficult journey. And everybody says it'll all be worth it in the end. So I'm closer to the end than the beginning. And I will say this. It's not for the faint of heart, but there is beauty in building something, especially when you're building it together. So like my wife and I, we literally have done this together. If you can build something together with your spouse, like they say you're going to be together forever, bro, like this is a forever house type situation. What I've learned about myself and what I've learned about her during this process, priceless.
Yeah.
Through all the headaches, priceless.
But then also, you can establish your own, but sometimes it's going to take you a while to actually get more of it. Because like anything, the more you spend, the more of a discount you get. So it's like just starting out, you might have to spend, let's say, $400,000 to get an extra 5%, but that 5% adds up. So take that into consideration too. If like me, I don't plan on ever doing this again. So that's why I would rather use my constructor's discount because he spends so much money that he's going to get a benefit that if I'm just starting out that I won't get. But I will tell you too, also with the construction loan, this is some information. You got to be careful with these construction loans because what they do is you got to spend the money first before they reimburse you. That may sound pretty easy to understand, but most of the time, if you're going into it, you never had it. You're not really thinking about that before. At least I wasn't. When I had a construction loan, I'm thinking if I get a construction loan, what that means is that when I need money, they're going to give it to me so I can build the home. But you learn quickly that it takes time to get the money. Put it like this: you got to have the money first, and they're not going to give you enough money than what you spent. So if the floor costs, let's say realistically in the real world, $40,000 for flooring, they'll set a budget for $15,000. So they're not going to give you like exact. That's why going to China was helpful and beneficial. But man, that's something that you really got to think about too with these construction loans. Once again, this is why the Home Buyers Blueprint, which is in EY University, shout out to Matt. And so because there's no education, like for me, like I said, dumbass decision. I've already spent probably $2 million cash. Literally $2 million in cash. That's a dumbass decision.
Man.
To be you were uninformed at the time of all the traps that were there.
I'll be honest with you. There's no way to be informed. Like literally, like there's no way. And I'll give this last piece of advice, right? Number one, and after I had this conversation with him, make sure you document everything. Make sure you keep every receipt for everything. Also, and this is probably the thing that has saved me the most, is that I drew up a contract with the original contractor saying that I could work with any contractor that I wanted to. Right. And that was vitally important, right? Because that says that if I don't like the service that you're providing, right, I can go elsewhere and seek the service. Here's how that's helped me in a couple of ways. Number one, we'll leave some of the details of how this contractor has played out throughout the course of this home building process. But it also allowed me to hire other contractors and 1099 them, right? They were independent contractors because they were not my primary contractor. Even though he was terrible throughout the entire process, I never fired him.
Yeah.
So technically, he's still on the insurance for the home. Everybody else that I hired is now 1099, right? So if I paid them out of my business, it's a 1099 contractor. Now I can save on my taxes. So that actually helped me. So if you're going to go into this process, like I said, you could, and the Home Buyers Blueprint is a great place. You're going to have to learn things as you go. You're going to have to be patient. You're going to have to be diligent, right? Because no one has your best interest except you.
Yep.
You got to keep that in mind. This is an investment. Obviously, it's an investment for. He said how he felt about his investment. I've shared how I felt about mine, but it's still a learning process. And so the knowledge that we're getting, the information that we get to give back, man. So if we can help throughout this process at any point, we're gonna make sure we do that. So those are some little. But
you can 1099 your contractor too, though, because I 1099. That's another thing. This is some other information for you. When I fired my contractor, the first one, I hired a new contractor, but I had my lawyer draw up a contract. Always have your lawyer draw up a contract, even if they have a contract.
Never
give it to your lawyer and go through it and put things that you want into it. Don't just sign something because it's a standard agreement. And so, long story short, I 1099 my guy as well. But you could, it's all negotiable. Whatever, that's the thing. It's all negotiable as far as how you handling the business, but make sure you got a good lawyer. That was another thing. A lot of this would have been avoided if
about to be a whole class.
If a lawyer was actually, you got to have good lawyers.
Fact.
Vitally important. Fact. Closing attorneys. Man, shout out to Andre from Chicago. I see him in the chat, man. He knows all about this. He's a real estate expert, man. But I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's something that's vitally important as far as real estate because you end up spending a lot of money and you got to know what you're doing because if you don't know what you're getting yourself into, because this actually caused me to have insomnia. I had insomnia for 8 months because of this. Like I was ready to hurt somebody. Like, like you spend $2 million, you contemplate hurting somebody if things don't go the way that you want it to go. So it's a real situation and nobody ever preps you for that. And you don't fully know until you get into it. So that's why I'm very cautious to tell people about to buy a home. I'm not anti buying a home. I just want you to buy a home intelligently because if not, it's going to lead you down a rabbit hole that you really can't get yourself out of. And it's going to be like a very stressful situation.
And make sure that the materials you're paying for go in your house.
Yo,
because they'll take that marble and fucking go charge
Hey,
Brittany up the street and get double. Hey, be careful.
I'm gonna tell you how founders do this, bro. So in
Allegedly.
allegedly, how founders do this in the contract. He said he put in the fine writing, right? I looked at it after. Anything that he over orders, right, belongs to him, right? So I'll give you a prime example. Here, all the insulation for the house is for the first 2 floors. I came home one day. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of insulation. I'm using it for my basement. He's like, no, that belongs to me. I'm like, nah. Who ordered this? And he's like, oh, no, we ordered it. I'm like, we ordered it. Like with my money, we ordered it. He's like, yeah, it's in your contract. If we don't use it,
that's the record business model. Well, I'm a recollateralize your assets and take them over up.
Yo, the man has a stash house, so he puts all the extras in the stash house. The next house that he builds, he's going to charge you for it. Take what he's over ordered for me, overcharge you, and use the leftovers. It's a filthy game, man. But you got, like you said, have good counsel and read the fine print, man.
Fine print. And this is a good lesson too. At every layer of business, you have to know the business, or somebody's going to take advantage of you.
And the last thing I'll say about this is you got to have somebody. If you're married, one person has to be dedicated to handling. There's so much paperwork. You got to talk to the town. You got to file the licensing. You got to get the electric. You got to get water. It's almost impossible. That's another thing that you don't fully understand. It's almost impossible to do it by yourself. So you got to have one person that's fully dedicated to that. Like I said, if you're married, then that's helpful because one person can really do that. If you're not married, highly suggest that you got an assistant. You got to have somebody. So kudos to my sister. She's the one that's been actually helping me. And it's like I said, for me, it's kind of actually fire in that standpoint because I get to do everything I want to do without having to consult anybody. So at least if I'm gonna go through all of the bullshit, at least I can do things the way I want to do it.
Yeah.
Because that would be even more headaches if I had to or ask for permission to do something.
Or it could be beautiful. Nah, it's real. That's why I said you definitely need someone, and that's the part that nobody sees, and we'll move on into like the everything with everybody else. But this is the part nobody sees. Like that's a full-time job, Market Money's full-time job, Earn Your Leisure full-time job, Blackout full-time. All those things are part of it. But that's just like a look inside of some of the things that's going on. Like I watched him go to town hall. He's there till 11 p.m. on a Wednesday night. I was just in town hall last Wednesday. I'm there to 12 midnight. Just to get an approval to say like, yo, you can pave your driveway. Like just the nonsense. And one day soon, because I'm optimistic. When y'all see it, you'll be like, damn, y'all really did it.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of dumbass decision, can we talk about AWS's failure today and shutting down?
AWS had an epic failure meltdown, which caused a lot of apps. Coinbase, Robinhood as one of them.
Brokerages are down.
Zoom. Even what we're using now had issues earlier today. As far as so many different platforms. And you put a post up, it said like as far as all of the internet is built on the foundation of AWS. You pull AWS out and it's like a house of cards.
Yeah.
And XLE had a good post where she talked about how this actually happened. And she was saying like it wasn't a cyber attack. It was just a random situation. It happened in a warehouse in Virginia. And one thing like that caused a worldwide disruption. So what does that mean for the future infrastructure of the internet?
I think we need deeper investment. We were talking earlier, but I think the war between us and China is not going to be a boots on the ground. It's going to be situations like these. The conspiracy theorist in me has some thoughts, but I'll save them for private conversation. But I think leadership has to step in, do a better job. And I think there's not only is the security thing an issue there. Companies don't have enough capital to develop their own cloud, but it's needed. YouTube stayed afloat because they have their own infrastructure and their own cloud services. But the great part in having a partner like Amazon or AWS is that you don't have to build. But when you have moments like these that are down, and I don't believe in random coincidences. I do believe in Murphy's Law, but I don't think that this was random. But when you look at some of the companies as far as Coinbase, Webull, Robinhood, Canva was down. Of course, Amazon stock won't be affected because it's different than CrowdStrike. This is only like 20% of their revenue. But one of the biggest issues that we have in America, digitally and physically, are infrastructure issues. The AI race is incredibly important. The data center race is incredibly important. But if we don't have the infrastructure right, none of it means anything. And thank God it wasn't a cyber attack or a physical attack. But I think as big as Amazon is, they are going to have to do a lot better at protecting this infrastructure, because at the time that we're in now, no one wants to say it, but we're in an all-out war with China, and they want to kill us. And we can't have missteps like this, because it's showing weakness, which will allow them to attack at a later time.
Well, not literally. They don't literally want to kill us. Figuratively.
Like that type
figuratively. In a
Thank you.
theoretical sense of the
Thank
word.
you. Thank you.
Competition kills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not physical kills.
Not physically.
No, like Mortal Kombat type.
It's 1,000 ways to kill an opponent, though. Attacking infrastructure is one.
Yeah, that's what Jay said earlier. He said, kill nothing. Kill while you breathing. Now you saying something.
Yes.
Yeah. I think what we could take from it is, and this is interesting. Yeah, I know people immediately thought CrowdStrike because of what we saw in 2023 when CrowdStrike had a glitch and all the airlines were affected and there was a huge uproar. And this felt similar. I mean, you talk about United Airlines, T-Mobile was down, Starbucks, McDonald's, Venmo. You have payment processors. What it did tell you is this is what Amazon does. So like we know it has an e-commerce, and that's where we're going to get next day delivery. AWS is its own business in itself. And when we talk about cloud service, like that's the importance of it. Like today was the importance of it, right? If you were trying to do something and it was, that's because 43% of the world's cloud service comes from this company. So that's what Amazon does. Somebody asked who were the others. We talked about this, and this is part of that Oracle story and why Oracle is super important. The number 2 one is Microsoft Azure, right? When we're talking about cloud service, and then number 3 is Google Cloud. So when we talk about YouTube not falling down, it's because Google has its own cloud server. Now, some companies use multiple cloud servers just in the event of something like this. So when you look like a Zoom, right? They had their number 1 server was AWS, but number 2 was Oracle. And we've been talking about Oracle coming into this cloud service space. Yeah, they were small, but they're signing on with the right contracts. They got OpenAI, they got TikTok. So that 2% now is turned to 3%. When we talk about CapEx spend and they're trying to build out this infrastructure, this is what they're talking about. They want to get to at least a 4 or 5% market share. So we have seen AWS pull back down. I remember there was maybe in 2021, it was at 45%, 46. It's now teetering around 41. So there are some cracks in that space, but this takes a lot of money. Like to have servers
takes a lot of capital.
It's so much capital that only a few companies are going to be able to do it. Oracle being one of them, which is why they're newer to it. But there's space for them to grow inside of it, which is why we saw that huge markup when they reported their earnings, because they said, hey, that data center growth plus their cloud service business, they're getting clients on board. This is why that growth happens. So when you see an AWS, it shows you the importance of it. This is not this story. The cloud is not going. We're going to actually need more and more and more as more artificial intelligence, more large language learning, more robotics, more agentic. The more that happens, the more cloud service we're going to need.
But better infrastructure.
That's what they have to build, right? So that's what we got to build.
Better infrastructure.
And then we have to figure out, once we have that, how do we power it?
But then also it's a thing of okay, the stock wasn't impacted by it negatively. Why was that?
I think because the hedging. People forget that Bezos was a banker and hedge fund guy first. So it's not their entire business. The difference is when this happened with CrowdStrike, this is the business.
Correct.
Now, for example, if Amazon started delivering packages 6 days instead of 2, we would have seen a downturn. But because this is a small part of their empire, it didn't have a great impact. But I'm really big on The first time you see a chink in the armor, start to fix it. I know some of you don't want to hear this, but in this international war that we're in, they have their eyes on how to take advantage of that issue in Virginia. You have to be mindful.
I only will take out the word a small part of their business. It is a big part of their business, but I have this like circular model of Amazon. Check out the number of businesses. Amazon Healthcare, they have the Amazon Fulfillment, Amazon Robotics, Alexa, Amazon Fire, AWS, obviously, Amazon Music, Whole Foods, Amazon Prime, Amazon Studios, Twitch, Amazon Payments. So like, yes, part of the ecosystem, not the entire ecosystem. I think that I'm glad you pointed that out, Ian.
Yep.
CrowdStrike, that is actually what they do.
Yep.
This is one of the things that Amazon does.
Then also, what does it say for the world that we live in when one thing can disrupt so much as far as money, as far as how we communicate on Zoom, as far as payment processing systems?
Two thoughts. A lot of building in the last 10 years that's sold to us as convenience is to mask the laziness that is in the business ecosystem. And secondly, the hyper concentration of mega monopolies. Amazon's been a stock picking stock club forever, so they'll be fine. Everything is risk on. We can talk about that later. But it's not much innovation in terms of the infrastructure. Even in the data center build, most people are priced out of that. We're looking at, there's going to be for real 6 or 7 companies that run America and Europe and parts of Australia for the next 20 or 40 years because they built a legal monopoly. And you can argue at some points due to partnership and circular investment into each other that is really 2 or 3 companies really running everything. One of which I called and I love dearly, made some money. NVIDIA, if I made you money, please put yes in chat. But there's a hyper concentration in industry where capital is going and reinvestment into each other, which that's as good until the house of cards starts to crack with the leadership that we didn't have in office. Another reason you also see entrepreneurs working so hard, they won't say it publicly other than Magic at InvestFest. There's going to be a correction in the next year or two. It's very clear. That's why everyone isn't working this hard, because they don't see a downturn coming. They see the downturn coming. They're trying to get in front of it. Even the circular investment is them building a moat amongst each other so that they can then survive the flood that is coming in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think there's out of those Mag 7, maybe not Tesla, if there's a disruption in any of those companies, you're going to see the entire world be affected. Right? Like if that happens to NVIDIA, if there's something that happens in the Jeep, and that's going to affect the world. TSM, that's going to affect the world. And
Absolutely.
I would put, instead of Tesla, I would put TSM in there. If something happens to something, it's going to affect the world. Right? With CrowdStrike, why we saw the company pull back was a few of their clients were saying, hey, maybe this isn't the best alternative for us, right? Maybe it is a Fortinet. Maybe it is a Zscaler, right? Maybe we should look at other options. With Amazon, they're so dominant and they have so much infrastructure already.
Yeah.
You're going to deal with the
so
delay.
Much brand equity. Yeah, you're going to deal with it.
And tomorrow you'll be using AWS.
Yeah. And there is no alternative. You can argue CrowdStrike, even though it's best in class, there are competitors that are comparable. Amazon has no comp. They're a once in a generation company. They are a Ford, an IBM of the 80s, a Standard Oil of the 1950s. They are once in a lifetime. So they have no nearest competitor. I love Azure, but it's not AWS.
Yeah, it's half of the percentage of market share.
Okay.
And that's Microsoft.
Let's talk about Bitcoin. Shall we? Let's show this clip actually.
And I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. In the fourth quarter, seasonally Bitcoin strong, but now we have the Fed flipping dovish after being essentially hawkish all year. That's a tailwind for Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin gets to 200 to 250,000 by the end of the year. And that aligns with Mark Newton's technical targets.
Okay, Tom Lee.
Tom Lee, shout out to Tom Lee.
If you're not familiar who Tom Lee is, Bitcoin bull, somebody that's been he's always bullish on Bitcoin. But a very intelligent person. He says that he sees Bitcoin getting to $250,000 by year end. So there's only 2 months left in the year. Bitcoin is currently at $110,000. So that would be over 100% increase in 75 days. He also said in an unrelated, well, and later on in that conversation that he sees Ethereum not now, but
Not now. Yeah.
getting to $60,000.
Wow.
But he's always been a bull. Like I said, Tom Lee's always been he's been a Bitcoin bull for years. So $250,000 in the next 75 days. Is that something that
Troy, you
know
want
what?
to lead? And then I'm gonna come in.
Yeah, I'll say this. That is very lofty. And so I'll use the historical data, right? Based on Bitcoin's halving cycles. The first year after a halving cycle is usually the best year, right? So 2012, first halving cycle, 2013 being the next year, Bitcoin was up 7,000%, right? 7,000%. 2016, so this is every 4 years, right? So we went from 2012 to 2016. In 2017, Bitcoin was up 291%. 2020, right? That's the next cycle. 2021, the year after, Bitcoin was up 541%, right? So these are huge jumps. 2024, we had halving last April. So this year, we are now up 44% this year. Now, if we play the law of averages, if we get up to maybe 90 to 100%, that would take us to about 147,000 to 150,000 for Bitcoin, if the law of averages play out at about 100% return. So when we looked at our price points, and we kind of been given this predictive number of 140. I know, Ian, you had 150. We were in the same range, 150, 140. I can see it there. Based on how it's performed historically. After the year of having, we've seen a great gain. I see it in that landscape. 250, I'm just not sure how we calculate that. Now, I know he said that the Fed was hawkish, right? There was supposed to be maybe no rate changes. We got one already, and now they're saying there's 2 more. I mean, there's only 3 months left in the year, right? Well, 2 months left in the year. We got one in September. We'll see what happens here in October. So now November, December, the only 2 months left. I don't know how we get to that level. I can't see it. But Tom Lee he's been right, not just in Bitcoin. He's been right about the S&P. He's been right about the Dow. He's been right about the NASDAQ. He is super bullish in the market. I don't see it.
Yeah, I like Tom Lee a lot. Great lesson is in assets that are determined to go up, it's better to be bullish in it than bearish. With that being said, I don't see 250. 154, 490, I can see. But you don't have to take my word for it. I want you to go on a LLM, GPT or Claude or Perplexity, act as a world-class investor. Tell me the 10 scenarios in which Bitcoin will go from where it is now at 110 to 250, and what geopolitical events would have to happen in order for the market to run that high. That's the thought exercise I want you guys to do tonight. Also, too, it's November. Client money is coming in. So if you say, I think Ethereum is going to 10K while having a fund based around Ethereum, you got to sell a big picture. Going back to, is the media selling you what you want to hear, or is it selling you fear? So you can sell extreme optimism, or like the other side is Robert Kiyosaki every other week saying the market is going to crash and it keeps going up, right? You have to be mindful. I love Tom a lot. 250 for Bitcoin by end of year. No. Can I see 250 next year? Yes. Also, if they were not moving in pace with the market when it was actually detached before the institutions came in and had a mass adoption phase and took it over, I could see a run up of that nature. But unless China, our government, and all hedge funds go risk on more so than they are already, it's going to be tough to get to 250 by Christmas. It's going to be really tough. Impulsive way. Next year, I can see it though.
Yeah, but that's not. I mean, the bright side is that if we're talking about it getting to 145, 150, I mean, it's at 110 now. So you're talking about a double-digit gain from today's date, which is, I mean, a good investment.
For sure.
I'd say so in 2 months.
For sure.
That's how we got to look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, you just gotta look at Bitcoin as if you believe in it, that you just gotta hold it long term. I think is you're doing yourself a disservice if you're trying to play a short game of seeing how much it's going to go up in 3 months, 1 month, or if you really believe it. Like Jack Dorsey tweeted that Bitcoin is not crypto.
I saw that.
Riddle me that. So I think from what I got from that, it's not tradable. It shouldn't be trading it. You shouldn't be trying to, do a play for a week and see if we can get, like, if you really believe in Bitcoin, if you really believe that it's a transformational monetary system that's really going to change the world, that's really the future, that really is just the beginning, that's going to be here for another 200 years and really change human civilization, I don't think that you just treat it like how much money you can make in 2 months.
Also, too, to your point, if you hold it for 3 months or 4 months, you're going to see tremendous gain in it. It's one of the few assets where you can hold for a long period of time and make an incredible long-term return. But if you holding it from where it is now to a 2-month cycle, you're going to beat the indexes.
That I think that we're all saying
you
the
get
same thing,
20 to 30% in the 2 or 3 month cycle. So, like, if you don't believe in it, you can't argue with the math and data of it.
But even if it hypothetically, because all right, we talked about it going up, it could go down. Let's say it goes down, right? But if you believe in Bitcoin, you got to believe that it's going to go up eventually over time. So even if it takes the opposite and something catastrophic happens and the Bitcoin price actually drops from now to January, well, you still have to think that in 5 years it's going to be way higher.
Yeah, shit, 9 months
than it is now.
Yeah, hold.
Yeah. Worst case 99,371 is where it could drop to. Absolute worst case scenario. That's what I would want to buy. I really like 106. Price hit for Stock Club. Shout out to everybody who got in and already is up on that. But we should be pushing back into the 130s by end of year, 150s January or February. Just hold for the long term. Like, investing is a lot easier. Someone asked me this weekend, like, even if I don't have the capital, I need to take the money out of the market, should I continue to hold? I'm like, yes, because the reason why we didn't have a lot of capital because they kept this information away from us to hold for a long period of time, so you can get to a point where you never have to worry about the short-term money concerns. Hold. I'm begging you to hold.
Okay. Speaking of that, gold. Let's talk about gold. Keeps going up. One of the best performing assets of the year. It's just breaking new records every day. It seems like it hasn't slowed down. It hasn't had a pullback. Over $4,100.
Insane.
And
was that 43?
Yep. 43, 83, 80. Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
43, 84. Yep.
One thing that Mike Novogratz said he thought it was going to go to 10,000. That was before this year, last year, when we said with him, and he said that Bitcoin gold's going to go crazy. He said that like in September of 2024. And he was like, how far you think it go? He said it's going to go to $10,000. He didn't say exactly when or how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
He said that he's going to go to $10,000, and his rationale was as long as the government keeps printing money, and as long as, he said, Trump has a history of spending money. And he was like, if history repeats, that's before Trump got into office.
The office, yep.
So he was saying, hypothetically, if Trump wins the election, government spending is going to go up, not down. And as long as government spending goes up, then the dollar is going to decrease. And that means gold and Bitcoin is going to go up. And man, he hit that nail on. He hit everything that he said was completely right, because if we're spending money, the dollar has gone down at historic levels. Gold is at an all-time high. Bitcoin is going up. It hasn't gone up to that level, which you would have thought as yet of this year, but we still got some more time.
I mean, it hit its all-time high.
Yeah, then it came down. But gold, how far can this thing actually go?
I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. My next target for gold is 4,800. And then after that, we'll probably push to 52, 50 and some change. The reason why, though, like the entire world is risk on, meaning everyone's trying to get gains out of everything. But if you look at the general economy, the job market, instability within banks, geopolitical fighting internationally and inside of the country, there's a lot of things that are going wrong. And you're going to have to watch to see which one turns over first, because everything can't continue to rise at this rate without it being some disaster. I don't want a crash to happen, but I will say things have not been managed well in the country the last few years. So there will be a correction at some point. And if you go back to Ray Dalio's all-weather strategy, even though his real formula isn't in Money Master the Game, one of the core tenets of it is to hold gold as a hedge. But I'm really curious as to how long it's going to take before this market turns over. Once we break 5,000, though, which should be pretty soon, that is going to be a sign of it'll definitely be a warning sign of what's to come. I don't think that gold is going to slow down anytime soon. Should you have it in your portfolio, we've talked about this a bunch of times. Keys has talked about it, but just since 2019, gold was at 1,200. Is now almost at 5,000. That would tell you how much more risk, and going back to debt to GDP, how much more debt and money has been spent. That is one of the main reasons why. And also too, since we came off the gold standard, the value of the dollar has dropped incredibly. Inflation is going higher, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. And like Rashad, like you said, they're not going to, even though they're not doing quantitative easing how they did post Obama, there's still a lot of spending in states and in the nation that won't slow down anytime soon.
Yeah, it's gonna be
and my last point, they are making it two classes. You're either going to be broke, and they're going to push you out of being able to invest in the assets, or you're going to invest alongside them and make tidal waves in your lives financially. Like if you look at how the government is spending, even the investment into Intel, that's very telling that for the first time in history that the president's office is so open about investing and tweeting out what to invest in and how much crypto is going to go up. But most people have been priced out of the assets. I'm just looking at the run up of gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, NVIDIA. If you were 2 years late, you may be paying 200% more just to get into the same asset class.
So do you buy gold now, or do you just say, I missed it?
You got to wait for a pullback. I can give a price next week if you like. But I think as a hedge, it should almost be mandatory, maybe 10 or 20% of your portfolio. If you have been listening the last few years,
20%?
10 to 20% for sure.
Of your overall portfolio, you said?
Yeah.
It's tricky. Not that, because I mean, we talk about, we had this conversation like before we started the show, but a couple of things, right? Everything that we just said, that was just expressed, I'm with y'all. I agree with it. In fact, this makes it even more of a case why you see Bitcoin continue to rise from where it's at now, right? And it is this follow theory that they have with gold and Bitcoin, right? Usually, as we see gold appreciate, we'll start to see Bitcoin appreciate. Gold has been on a run, continue to be on a run. Bitcoin hit an all-time high and pulled back, but those type of scenarios make it favorable as to why people will continue to invest in Bitcoin. But this idea of risk and fear, it almost feels very calculated. And we had this conversation Friday. Shotty called me. He's like, yo, what are you looking at? I'm like, yo, something's not right. Something's not adding up. Right. When I look at the VIX and I see it get to 27 or 25, usually historically, when we see the VIX start to rise at those numbers, mid-20s up to 30s, we see a harsh pullback in the market. Right. If you look at it, I mean, pick a time, right? We saw in April was at 59, and we saw what happened with the market. But the market was up 100. Well, the NASDAQ was up 112 points on Friday.
Because everybody's risk on. No, everyone's throwing out a rule.
I'm building a case for you to talk about risk on.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at the fear and greed index, and that's at 25, right? And then most people think in their mind, when people are fearful, be greedy, and when people are greedy, be fearful. And so you have those two factors. Then you have this idea of, hey, there's a crash coming, there's a crash coming, there's a crash coming. You almost put people in this position where they become fearful to be a part of it. Meanwhile, institutions are running and running and running and running. And if you've watched the market over the past 2 weeks, for sure, just on a daily basis, it's been volatile. There's ups, there's downs. There hasn't been any steady flow. And it feels like something's supposed to happen, but something's not happening, right? So you said this, that everybody's risk on. So just unpack that a little bit.
Everyone is risk on, meaning like everyone's not following a playbook. Everyone's trying to maximize gains, and it's in every sector. Altcoins, crypto, tech. I'm getting more messages about rare earth minerals because everyone's looking at how quickly the market is going up, and you don't want to be left out. The downside of that is you have to know which asset classes and what groups they're marketing to be the liquidity for those events. So the government and institutions, and I'm going to be very honest, most institutions don't care if you do well or not, as long as they do well. We're seeing it now. You even seeing it within certain countries using pages out of our playbook against us. I want to tell you, stick to your plan through and through. Even like when I came up with Tech 2 Index, the indexes were the hedge against drawdown if we went down. But now people aren't following price, when to get in, asset class, because they think everything is going to run up 30 to 45%, and that's not the norm. Only the quality assets are supposed to do that. So when you see gold at a high, VIX pushing up, Bitcoin, Ethereum at our highs, Apple hit an all-time high today, everyone's trying to get the most out of the market and not prepared for. I asked someone today, okay, if the market drops 10%, 20%, 18%, are you prepared to know which assets to continue to buy and which ones to get rid of? They're like, no, I'm just trying to get a bag. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. And anytime when they are openly talking about investments to the public, it's not for your benefit. For the first time in history, you really have more money in brokerages than you do banks, and the banks can't even lend at scale because all the consumers are putting the money into brokerages to buy assets. It messes up lending. So,
and all the gold. Yeah, somebody said, what about gold? The GLD definitely is a good ETF. And then, physical gold, if you want to go to Ghana and do that play. I think that's the next thing I'm going to invest in is physical gold.
Physical. You going to Costco or you going to Ghana?
Ghana.
Okay, send me a text.
Gotta go to the source.
To the source.
Gotta go to the source. Getting it straight out the mud, literally.
With Shaka bars.
Yeah,
we're going to get the box site with the gold in it.
I'm gonna call my guys. Actually, I'm gonna see how much gold is going for out there. Probably can get it for a discount.
Who's calling my phone? Yeah.
The Ghana gold play. You know, that's where it comes from. That's the Gold Coast.
Gold Coast for a reason.
The Gold Coast for a reason.
Yeah, not just Ghana though.
No. Yeah. But Ghana is heavy though.
Yeah.
I mean, we know we've been to Guinea. I mean,
we done seen it.
But he said Ghana got way more gold than Guinea.
It's true. Diamonds too.
Burkina Faso.
Yep.
Gold is God's money. That's what they say. It's been proven. Over 8,000 years, probably longer than that, gold has been used as currency. It's outlived every form of currency ever, and it's still here. Over the past 100 years, the U.S. dollar has gone down 98%. During that same time, gold is up 6,000%. So,
and we should have never came off the gold standard, but that's another conversation for another day.
You know that.
Mhm.
But yeah, gold has been around since Mansa Musa. Can't stop it.
And for all of you who ask me privately, yo, should I short gold? No. We have to stop shorting assets that are meant to go up permanently. That's the Dow, that's the NASDAQ, that's the S&P 500, that's gold, that's Bitcoin. You don't short assets that are designed and created to stay up for long periods of time. It's not worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of it. Like and when you start to see those headlines and that sensationalism, all the short sellers trying to predict the S&P, just stay focused. Stick to your plan, please.
Stay locked in. And you don't know their agenda. They may have a short-only fund, and they may be pushing to get 9% return, and the headline makes you think the market is going to drop 25%. The market is rigged to permanently stay up. That's all the indexes. That's stay long. Stay long. Japanese Nikkei hit an all-time high. Like, you're not supposed to short these assets. There's trillions of dollars going into them every year to make sure that they stay afloat. Your 100 grand or 300,000 is not going to move that market down.
I told you, I told the story. They said that Ashanti King, they brought a Rolls Royce for a brick of gold 10 years ago.
That's what we got.
Couldn't speak English. Came in the Rolls Royce dealership with a bar of gold. Like cashed out.
That's what we got.
Take it.
That's what we got.
The real currency.
You know what I mean? They're gonna find a way to accept it.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, for sure.
Find a way to accept it. 6,100 people on the check-in.
Yeah.
Hey.
Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
Shout out to y'all.
Salute to Nas too on that hip hop pioneer joint that they do every year. They just did it a couple days ago.
The Hip Hop Museum.
No, they gave $1 million. You know, they give $500,000 to two people.
Oh, who got the award this year?
I'll
look it up.
Yeah, they gave it. It was 2 days. It was 2 days ago.
It's amazing though.
Shout out to Nas.
Yeah, shout out to him. I mean,
Ben Horowitz and the whole team.
Yeah, shout out to them, and shout out to the Mass Appeal. Yo, they put that Mobb Deep album is solid.
It's tough, yo.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I was just like, as a fan of music, let me just go check it out. Shout out to them.
It's good to hear Prodigy's voice too.
Yeah, salute Prodigy, man. Speaking of Mass Appeal, check out our series on Hulu.
Yes.
Foundation Forward in collaboration with Mass Appeal and Chase Freedom. Hulu streaming now. Let's talk about tech. Let's go on the tech hour. Apple. Let's start with Apple. Apple stock hit all-time highs today. Legendary.
Yeah, got up to, what, 262?
264.
260.
Yeah, 264.38.
Yeah.
Close at 262.
So Apple, you know, it survived every era. It's still here. They said the iPhone sales are booming. They got the AirPod.
Passport Bro Edition cooking.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm spokesperson now. They signed a deal with F1.
Yep,
5-year deal with them, which was if you watch the movements, right? F1 the movie was their first, one of their biggest movies in terms of blockbuster hits.
Yeah,
with Brad Pitt, and so it kind of makes sense that they.
It's a great movie too. Yeah,
they actually. So I finally. I hadn't turned on my Vision Pro for a while, but that you can actually sit inside the F1 car in your Vision Pro now. And so you could kind of see how they were trying to build this up. They wanted something in the world of live action sports. They didn't get basketball. I don't think they've given up on that. Like, if you listen to some of the press conferences, they're like, yeah, we're here to stay. We're not here for 2 to 3 years. We're not here for 10 years. We're here forever. And so they will eventually have enough to put money into one of these leagues. I know they had some MLS. They did Major League Baseball, but they got 1 game a week. So F1, even though it's not even like ESPN still has it, you can see like their foray into it and them trying to put all their technology. Decent.
Shout out to Vic Mensa. He actually filmed a music video on his iPhone.
Yep.
And Pastor Jamal Bryant had an interesting thing where he said that he felt that the reason why they picked Bad Bunny was because they want people to listen on the AirPods when he talks in Spanish. So everybody's talking about Apple these days. And then I saw somebody in the comments that said Mansa Musa was the richest person. He's from Ghana. He actually is from Mali. Timbuktu.
Yeah.
Timbuktu, that's modern day Mali. But Kush. The Kush Kingdom.
Oh.
Look it up. Look it up, ladies and gentlemen. The real Kush.
Yes, I have the meta glasses. Mr. Monty, I have the meta glasses, my boy.
Okay. Apple, have they made it through? And this is clear sailing to greatness?
Definitely. I gotta give them credit for being resilient. The iPhone 17 is selling like crazy. But the challenges that I've discussed are still there. It also highlights the point of holding, regardless of my deep criticism for them. I never changed the formulation on 2Tech2 Index, so I'm not playing both sides. I'm just giving you analysis. Gross margin 46%, net margin is 26.8%. But they have had a tumultuous year. If you look at their comps in the tech space, when others have been flying up in comparison, they definitely hit a high, but no one who's an Apple investor will say that this is one of their best years. My main concern is that they'll never be in the #1 market cap spot again. So that's my primary concern. But once again, Timothy D. Cook, gotta apologize. I didn't know you was facing that battle with another entity that can't be named.
What battle are you referring to?
I'm never going to say that.
Why not?
Because I haven't got to 500-600 million yet.
500-600.
It's not every battle isn't worth fighting. But have they done a great job? But I'll text you. You can say it if you want to.
Please.
But yeah, kudos to them for fighting through. Kudos to everyone at HQ. I'm still looking for the announcement of what they're going to do in the AI space and see how they're going to work through that. And I think the greatest entrepreneurs and executives on earth, once again, have had to. Zuckerberg had to fight through Congress, not getting Libra coin, not getting certain crypto partnerships, not being able to buy TikTok. And he found a way to recalibrate the company to continue to do better post 2022. I'm looking to see the same thing out of Apple, and then also to see what the vision is in terms of succession planning once Tim does step down as well.
They have been resilient. I think maybe a month ago when we were talking about Apple, I was like, look, we may have been looking at it wrong. We might have been looking at this whole thing wrong from a standpoint of they've got this treasure chest. Has it been depleted slightly? Yes, but it's still there. And they're going to wait this thing out and see where they're going to make innovation at, rather than saying they were going to be a leader in innovation. And that strategy has worked for the most part. Also, we talked about the iPhone, and I was a victim of it as a guy that loves Apple products. I upgraded just because I wanted to use the headphones and I couldn't use it on the older phone. And so that life cycle is starting to catch up, right? If you can't have the newest technology, then you're going to upgrade your phone. And that's apparently what has happened with the 17. It has made some improvements, but other phones have that technology already. It's just the brand loyalty that comes with it. And they're going into the biggest quarter of the year for them. I mean, so when you talk about Fed rates getting cut, you talk about fourth quarter coming into play here. I know they got earnings next week. I like Apple to keep climbing. I don't see the tailwind that pulls it back, especially when we start to see some of these numbers come in for the 17. I know it's preliminary now, but maybe we'll get a fresh look at where it's headed. China sales improved. That's huge for them, right? We were talking about 2 years of declining sales.
Yeah, he made that trip over there.
That has changed. And if you saw where he was at this weekend, it tells you that there's more innovation to come. Tim Cook, Jensen Huang, they were at the unveiling of the new fab, the TSM fab in Arizona, which is about to come online. They used to be TSM's #1 customer. NVIDIA is now. And so there's more manufacturing, more chips. I know they're talking about the new MacBook. They're slow and steady, which is crazy to say for a company that's a $3 trillion company.
Yep.
I don't see them going back to number one anytime soon.
That was my question. Probability.
But they'll be in the top 5. They top 5
for sure.
Tech check. Let's move this along. AMD been on a tear. Also all-time high, 240 right now.
Yeah.
It's going up tremendously. So you would think at some point it would have to have some level of a pullback. Shout out to Dave Shans. Called me today. He's in the AMD option. I know a lot of people are in AMD options.
Chance, I'm expecting a thank you letter at some point.
So
and cash considerations.
Cash considerations at some point.
Yeah.
So what's AMD's?
I think the entire space is going to continue to climb. If you're looking for a price, maybe if it pulls back to 212.48 or 220, 212, that would be an area I would like to potentially get in. If they do have a pullback, maybe halfway through next month, they could pull back. But no, back to being risk on. The days of conservative investing are over, and if you are a conservative investor looking into conservative companies, your portfolio is going to be eaten alive. Prime example of that would be Salesforce. I like Benioff. I like Salesforce. They are 2 steps behind of where the new market is. So as a result, like investors have to deploy money if you run a fund. You can't just put cash on the side. They've been a beneficiary of that. And of course, AMD tightening up their relationship with Washington has helped them tremendously. So AMD will be fine. Maybe by probably by January, they should be at 256.92. And then 2-year price will be like 298.87. They will have a pullback at some point because this is a key level for NVIDIA. Historically, it always has been. But long term, NVIDIA will be okay.
AMD.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's this is a case of, you know what? There's a price point for every customer. And some customers will like the highest price point because they believe that's the highest value. Some people will pay the mid tier, and they've done that and they've mastered it.
Yeah.
And this is success of it. I think Lisa has made some great moves, starting with going to Saudi and figuring out partnerships there. And she's been at it. I mean, I spoke about Tim Cook. I forgot to say that she was there. Lisa Su, who's the CEO of AMD, was also at the unveiling at TSM's fab in Arizona. Speaking about their relationship, the OpenAI partnership. I mean, you're talking about a company that it's advantageous for it to use your products to help gain more market share and help with that overall revenue. Partnership with Oracle, they're in a space right now that they have clearly put themselves in as number 2, and they've cemented themselves as number 2, and people are valuing it as number 2, which is okay. Right, this is not a $1 trillion company yet, right? This is not Broadcom. This is not NVIDIA. They are firm in where they're at, and they still have room for growth. I don't think this is the end for AMD, even at 240. I think that there's some more room here toward the end of this year for it to keep climbing.
And next year as well, because NVIDIA is the rising tide that lifted all boats. And their executive team, especially Lisa, when she was the first, not included in that class, she made great adjustments to make sure that they didn't get left behind. They did the opposite of what Intel as a company historically did the last 10 years. So you got to give them credit for that.
Shout out to all of y'all. Shout out to everybody that was in those AMD calls. And if you had a plan, then you're not going to ask me, should you sell?
Facts.
Please.
You got to know the exit before you get in.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. That goes for any position that we talk about.
Microsoft. We haven't talked about Microsoft in a while. Not at an all-time high, but it is doing well.
It's close.
516.
Yeah. All-time highs, 555.45. Microsoft, I think they'll have their moment before the end of the year where they should cross that barrier and break their all-time high. I remember a top of a couple of said stock of the decade that's panned to be true. Well-run company, very little scandals, amazing profit margin. Continue to hold. If you guys need a price, I'll throw one out. Stock Club, don't get mad. If it gets back to 508.71, that's an area I would like to get in. But Microsoft is a definite hold through 2032. And for sure, still, in my opinion, will be stock of the decade, regardless of what Sam Altman does and their relationship with OpenAI. However that pans out to be. Microsoft probably one of the best run companies in the world right now, and operating how I wish Apple would, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want? What can we say about it? The OpenAI investment has turned out to be absolutely incredible.
One of the greatest investments of all time.
Their investment in Constellation Energy is something that hasn't been talked about, I think, enough. Because you can talk about forward vision, right? We can have these data centers, but they already were thinking if we're going to have the data centers and we're going to run them in the cloud, we need to have a power company that's going to help us do this. And so they've been innovative in that space. The only thing I wonder about, it was the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. I'm still trying to figure out what that was about. But other than that, I mean, like you said, well-run company is going to be here. I mean, even by default, we know what they're doing in the terms of artificial intelligence with their partnerships with OpenAI. So this is one of these gold standard companies that, you know, you got to just have this in the portfolio and keep it there.
All right. Two more, MU and TSM. TSM reported last week and actually went down slightly, and then it went up. But TSM still holding strong. Not at their all-time high, but not too far from it either.
Not too far from it. Yeah,
they ran up to, after earnings, they ran up to 311, then pulled back down to 291. Kind of just moving back and forth. And that key level of 310, let's see if we can cross that over the next couple of weeks. TSM, even when they reported, you know, I was listening, and I forget which secretary it was, but he said, look, we have to win the AI race. This isn't a matter of just winning with China. This is a matter of national security. And you cannot win this race. It's impossible to win this race without having Taiwan Semiconductor being the piece, right? They just actually released a video. I'll put it in EYLU tonight or tomorrow morning about what that fab looks like. And you can see ASML as that key component, right? They now announced that TSM is going to be using the 2 nanometer on their wafers, which is, I mean, this is the first of its kind, right? So when we're talking about how much faster, how much smaller, how much more efficient, but even more important, how energy efficient it is, right? So they said that it's going to be reduced 20 to 30% less power. So when we talk about how much power is going to be needed to, you know, put these GPUs in racks and power them, that's all part of it. TSM has been in the portfolio. I mean, I've been talking about it to death, and it's still at 300, at 298, where it looks like it's going to open tomorrow. It's still undervalued to me. I think it is the core of the AI economy. NVIDIA doesn't manufacture its chips, right? That's what TSM does. Apple doesn't manufacture its chips. That's what TSM does. AMD doesn't manufacture its chips. That's what TSM. All of them, 90% of the world's GPUs are manufactured by this company. It's the reason why it's a national security issue. It's the reason why those fabs are online in Arizona, and they got them up and running by 2026 when the projected date was supposed to be late 2027. They know that we have to start producing them here because we cannot have a supply chain issue. TSM, I'm with this company for the long run.
Yeah, and I think anyone trying to short it or getting away from TSM, you're making a generational mistake. I like it at 284. Is TSM better than Apple?
It's in this economy, this AI economy, it's more important.
ASML better, more important than Apple right now?
For the future of AI, yeah. You can't have it.
Yes. But we're seeing a generational switch from hardware devices to, like, these companies are so important. And like you said, to the fundamental structure of American economy. Like, I put it in Stock Club this past week, but without AI and data centers, the GDP growth in America was 0.1%.
When you say more important, what is that actually?
To AI. I'm saying
to AI, not to the world.
no to AI to AI.
To AI.
Yeah.
Not to the world.
No. To the AI, right? And that if we went down a food chain per se of how artificial intelligence is going to work, it has to start with ASML, right? Because they had the EUV machines that can produce, right? What TSM is going to use to produce and manufacture chips, right? So if you don't have the machines, those EUV machines, which they have a monopoly on, they're the only company in the world that makes them. And we talked about it in the car, but there are other countries, not companies, but other countries that are trying to figure out how to make that machine, right? And it's not something that can just be built in a day. These machines cost $400 million to make one, but they're needed to have in this flow. So the flow starts at ASML, goes down to Taiwan Semiconductor. Once they have those machines, and in a video, they show you exactly how they work. Now they can manufacture, right? People can send in, hey, this is what we want built. This is what we want built. This is what we want built. TSM has those fabs to do it, obviously in Taiwan, but again, here in America, and then it goes out. Obviously, then NVIDIA can be who they're going to be. And then Broadcom can be who they're going to be. AMD can be who they're going to be. But it starts with those two from the machine standpoint, from the manufacturing standpoint.
So the last one for tech check.
Hold on, I didn't say Micron.
That's what I said.
You going to say that?
MU.
Yeah, he's about to say it.
What can I say? No, it actually played out exactly how we thought it would when we talked about American companies being dominant in a space, and specifically high bandwidth memory. In this case, there are three leaders, and two of them are not from this country, right? You got Samsung and you got SK Hynix. And those three companies make up pretty much all of the high bandwidth memory chips that are out there or running at a high efficiency. Micron is the American company in terms of making America more efficient and keeping things in-house. That is the space that they're going to go. And we've seen it. We've seen partnerships with them in NVIDIA, which was the first sign. Usually when I'm looking for signs, I look for the hyperscalers. And when I say hyperscalers, I'm looking at Meta, I'm looking at NVIDIA, I'm looking at Microsoft, I'm looking at Google, sometimes Apple, even though they try to do things in-house. If I see those companies are involved in partnerships with these companies,
it's a positive sign.
Oh, that's like one of those metrics. I'm like, all right, that means there's CapEx spend that is going to go out. Micron, we've been in this for the past 3 years. I know we've been taking some hits for it, but this is the importance of investing in companies that you believe are going to be here for a long time. That's going to be the leader for a while. I know they just got approved for the plant, and shout out to Cheryl McKissick for telling us about that prior to it happening. The plant in New York is going to be online shortly. It's going to be the leader in that space. And if you know how high bandwidth memory works, you obviously know that GPUs need to have that as a component. How do we know that, ladies and gentlemen? We actually saw that, right? We actually looked at a GPU and looked at the components of it, and we saw which companies were part of it. When we were at GTC, this was a no-brainer, and I'm just happy to see it thrive like it is. And again, I don't think this one's done. I don't think Micron's done, but there's some other companies as well.
Yeah, shout out to NVIDIA. That was something that we was able to do when we actually went to NVIDIA's campus, and exposure definitely changes situation when you have that level of access, and we had that level of access to their campus and to Meta's campus, and we saw some things when we went to NVIDIA that it was just like, okay, now this is pretty much a no-brainer. So that exposure, man, like just always keep that in mind. Sometimes in life, you only get a few opportunities sometimes in life. And when you get that exposure moment, you got to take it.
Got to take advantage of it. Even seeing the circular investment, where it started from.
You know what's crazy? When we think about this, right? Like, so this is March of last year. Think about the companies that we literally saw and just kept seeing. Micron was one. I actually took a picture of it. And I'm like, yo, they have a huge display here. And the representation here, it must be sick. We saw Vertiv. Right, and we can see how Vertiv has performed this year. We also saw Supermicro.
Supermicro, was prominent.
Now, quietly is kept, right? Supermicro was down at 27. Look at it today. Right? Look at it today. Nearly 100% since that point. Slowly but surely. So those companies that we saw like in partnership and working with and understanding their roles, Broadcom, another one we saw. there's a reason why they start showing up at these events, because they have partnerships, and those partnerships lead to more revenue for these companies. We saw the racks that were being used, right? That company named Dell was there. I'm like, yo, all these tea leaves are there for us to say, okay, all right, there's something here that we need to investigate even further.
Yes, sir.
CoreWeave.
Okay. Stephen Smith, he said, hey, family, I'm a single father from Chicago, driving trucks and learning from y'all after making investment mistakes, trying to give my daughters a better life. Okay, put your Cash App in the chat, my brother.
Stephen Smith.
This is the day.
Today's the day
that you will receive your blessing, and please DM me
For sure.
your email so we can put you in EY University.
That's easy.
I'm saying for Stock Club.
It's vitally important.
Yeah, Steve, highlight it again so we can make sure that we find you.
Salute to all the single parents out there.
Yeah,
for
shout
sure.
out getting it done.
Driving a truck, making no excuses. It's never no excuse not to be there for your children.
For sure.
Shout
Death
out
to the
child-
deadbeats.
Shout out to child support and fraud. That's what he always say. Well, we still taking care of them kids, though. We're going to fight the child support, but we still taking care of the kids.
No matter what.
No excuse.
No matter what.
It's never no excuse not to take care of your kids.
Yep.
That's a fact.
Speaking of NVIDIA, let's talk about NVIDIA. Jensen said that they went from 95% marketplace in China to 0. They said they're officially out of China. And he said, like, he didn't directly go at the administration, but he said, like, I don't see how any policymaker would think that would be a good idea for us to be 100% out of China. So is that long-term bad for their stock, or is this something that he's just playing a political game?
You have to learn you can't play both sides. And you should have seen this with Apple. That's why Apple has had considerable investment into India. But if we are in an international war with China, and China technologically wants to kill us, you can't sell a version of a chip, it being an American company, to the ops. You should have known this. This is the part where you can't be greedy. And I know you have Rockefeller-esque aspirations, but you can't fund both sides of this technological war. You got to pick a side. Either go pick up and put NVIDIA in China, or you're going to help America win this war. This is like the moon landing thing all over again. This is bigger than your corporate aspirations. America's fighting tooth and nail to not fall to the empire that's set to knock us out proverbially. So no, you can't sell your fucking chips over there to them and make a Chinese version of Hopper or anything else while we're in war. And I appreciate China even taking a stand saying, hey, no, we don't even want your product. We want to build our thing here. And this race is not going to slow down anytime soon. So, I mean, as a result, from a revenue standpoint, it may hurt. But I think NVIDIA and executive leadership and Jensen is going to find a way to make up for that profit loss by partnering with other countries, probably India, and making us more competitive. Because if the only thing you can do is work with what you have to find a way. And it's a great lesson too. Sometimes you don't appreciate the blessing of the windfall because you think you can recreate that magic elsewhere. Sometimes the best thing that you have is right in front of you. Take advantage and take care of it.
But they have to get back in China, though. I mean, you cannot be absent in the biggest market in the world that's only getting bigger.
So that was my.
You gotta pick a side, though. The government's not gonna let them fund our fucking destruction unless there's vested interest in the destruction of the country. You don't get to pick. You can't be on both sides of the war. We saw with Apple.
Apple's still doing business in China, though.
Yeah, they sell as well.
Not as.
But check this out. Right? Because this is interesting, right? So let's use Apple. Imagine Apple says that they have 0% market share in China. What do you think happens to the Apple stock?
It'll slide down, but of course it'll recover because then with NVIDIA. With 45 for 50% profit margin, and with them having such a high price product in high demand, which is rare to have a incredibly high price product with that kind of demand, they're going to have to find a way to work it out. Now, if this was 2016, it wouldn't matter. We're not in 2016.
Well, I'm just saying that because Jensen said this over the weekend, and NVIDIA didn't move, right? Like the stock didn't move.
Yeah,
they literally said that we're in terms of NVIDIA, that's the number 2 market for them. They said they have 0% market share, and it was a fractional slide. Like it might have went down 40 cents.
Yeah,
right. Which tells you how strong the demand is in America
absolutely
from these American companies. But you said something important, and it was the geographical play, right? If it's not China, then who? Right? When we were talking about Apple, it was okay. We saw them in India, right? If we can't get more, maybe we get a new demographic of customers. And so you start thinking about where NVIDIA has been making its moves. And the fingers all point back to the UAE.
That's where the original circular investment came from.
So now, if they lose that market, right? Because if in that scenario, you would see like
a big difference.
It's a big difference. I get it, but the number of companies that can spend at that capex level
is rare.
How many can do that from a Chinese perspective? How many companies can do it?
A lot, but then the government itself.
The government can, but they're fixated on saying, "Hey, we're going to build up." Even Alibaba,
they want to build their own. They don't want our product. That's the issue. Now, Rashad, I agree with your point. Will it help NVIDIA's market cap if they could? But they're telling him, we don't even want your work. Even if ours is inferior, we want to build our own.
This is where I was going, because we gave those dates last week. I was giving out those dates about the trade agreement. What if this is a part of that trade agreement, right? In order for us to get this trade agreement through, here's what you have to take.
Jensen Huang is not Chinese.
No, he's not.
He's from Taiwan.
No, he's not. Somebody put that in the chat.
Now, that's a difference. Even though Chinese to China, Taiwan is a part of China. To Taiwan, Taiwan is independent of China.
And if you don't take what was ours,
that goes back to TSM. That goes back to the pact that United States of America government signed with Taiwan 50 years ago to guarantee protection of Taiwan. And that goes back to the aggression that China has shown Taiwan. And that goes back. So all of this. So what he said was actually, that's why I'm highlighting what he said, because I'm not saying it just to correct him. Depending on what side, you're right and you're wrong. Depending on which side of that river or ocean you're on. And that is trillions of dollars and global warfare that could potentially happen because of one country says that they belong to Taiwan and the other country says that they don't belong to China.
Here's what happens, even for an invasion. This is even if they invade Taiwan and they try to take over TSM.
You're gonna tell it?
I mean, it's documented. The ASML, they have a kill switch.
They're all
literally the machines will cut off, so you can take over the property, but you can't do anything with it. And they can do that. They can do that, trigger that remotely. So there wouldn't even be a point of even trying to do it, because if it happens, they cut it off, and then nothing. You can't use that fab anymore. And then the number 1 fab becomes where? United States.
But if I find a little hacker to get into y'all love.
Or if I send companies to your country to figure out how to build your machine.
Hello. And everyone doesn't have high moral compass.
And who would do that? No, but the UAE play is interesting because, yes, if you look at the announcement when obviously the president was there, but I mean, Elon was there, Sam Altman was there, Lisa Su was there, Jensen Huang was there. They talked about the largest data set being built in Saudi.
Tech is, I mean, UAE is the big venture that everybody in tech has to run to.
It changed everything for this scenario from April.
For sure. And maybe before that.
Perhaps. Perhaps. It's
Mm-hmm.
an interesting business is interesting. Technology is even more cutthroat and interesting. Oh my gosh.
It's like Jared Kushner. He was
Rashad. I'm gonna text your sister of mine right now. Hold on. Stop Rashad from going. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother. You got it.
The guy who appeared on, he was on 60 Minutes. That's what he was referring to, right?
Yeah, 60 Minutes. That's my favorite show outside of
Yeah,
Market Monday.
he was on there
60
last night. Yeah.
He was talking about how they were saying that he brokered the peace deal between Israel, Hamas, him and Steve Witkin, him and another guy. But they were saying there's a conflict of interest because he's done so much business in Qatar.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that it's not a conflict of interest because he's not making money. Long story short, America innovates, the Middle East invests, China copies, and Europe regulates. And Africa just gets plunged. That's the global cycle that we're in right now. The UAE is investing in everything, not just UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, all those Gulf states are investing.
They are the funding source.
Europe is doing nothing but regulating.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're in shambles.
Yeah.
America's innovating. China sees what America does, and then they just copy and they just take it. They take IP at an alarming rate.
Yes.
From fashion to technology. They got whole Apple iPhone stores that's not even
Apple. Yep.
And that's a trademark lesson in itself. Like when you get something trademark, having to trademark it internationally, that's a whole different.
But they won't even.
Sometimes they don't
China. I mean, what are you going to do? And Apple knows that that China is so strong that they just got to deal with it.
Yep.
Chanel. All these people know. Like you go to China, I say that to say they're not just knocking off handbags. They're going to knock off NVIDIA chips.
Well, that's what they're trying to do.
That's what they're trying to do.
So that again, some of these signs would have usually had a downturn in the market, right? When there was a talk, and everybody here remembers when DeepSeek was the conversation on that Sunday night, Monday morning. My gosh, it was like, oh my gosh,
that was market manipulation too, though.
Well, allegedly,
yeah, allegedly.
NVIDIA is not worth it. They've come up with a chip that's more efficient. Look how many GPUs they really need, and they did this. And then you come to find out that that was fabricated. In fact, they're actually using NVIDIA GPUs, right? So this weekend, Alibaba did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They said we don't need 1,000 NVIDIA GPUs. We can get the same job done with 300 of them. Again, market doesn't move.
And the thing is, when a country is willing to stand on its morals, the difference between the two leadership ideologies is that we'll break off pieces of our country and sell them off and put the country into ruin. We have to remember that China wants its revenge. We're very short-sighted in our thinking. And while other countries see weakness in us in terms of leadership, debt to GDP, management of resources, we sold our toll roads and rivers and waterways and sell poison at every turn, they are in attack mode. America is one of the few superpowers in history. If you study history, Rashad, I know you're a historian, that we're the only superpower that thought in 3 and 5 year cycles. We don't plan long. And it's coming to bite us. But what do I know?
Just a guy on YouTube.
What are your top 5 ETFs at this moment?
To the person, great question. You don't need 5. VOO, VTI, VGT, QQQ. You don't need 5. You don't need 5. I'm sorry. You don't need
SMH.
Sure, SMH 4. You don't, but you don't need 5. There's no. It's like back in the day, like in '99. You don't need 5 pair of K-Swiss. You don't like because you're limited on capital, and also too, with it being a risk-on environment, you can be so cautious in your investment strategy that you forget to build wealth on the way. The name of this game is, okay, so if the dollar is going down every year, what's the rate of inflation? Put it in chat. And the job market is not getting better. You're going to have to start to figure out ways to get 20 to 25% gains for it not to eat your dollar away. So you don't need 5. Ideally 2 tech 2 index. But SMH is great, QQQ is great, VGT is great, VOO, VTI, but you don't need 5. You need to put that capital for the rest of the stocks into individual stocks. While the 60-40 bond portfolio is dying, which I told you, you don't need 5, you need 2. You can have on so much protection in your long term. You're going to be mad in 5 years that's when like all the Bitcoin people be throwing the shit in your face like, yo, we up 85%, you up 10, how? You had on too much protection.
I'm just giving.
You say you had on too much protection?
You can.
Yo. Nah.
Wrap it up.
A triple condom on your portfolio, crazy.
Triple condom is crazy.
At some point, you overdoing it.
I'm just for the sake of the question. I'm gonna give them 5. I'm with you. So you said VO, VT. Those are overall S&P indexes, and then you said QQQ.
Yep,
as the ETF. So that's technology. So I'll give a different 5, just because I would rather do 4, but we'll just do 5. SMH is obviously going to be at the top of my list. I know somebody in the chat asked, is in SMH a good investment? If you believe in the semiconductor story, if you believe in AI,
even if you don't, you better believe in it. This is driving all GDP for America. This is all the revenue for America.
I'm trying to help him, Ian. I'm just trying to help him.
America don't run on Duncan. It's running on semiconductors.
If you believe in anything we're saying, then that would be a solid one. XLK, despite the fund, is always good for technology. XLY, I have for consumer discretionary. And then I always do like my 4th leg is like that one is interchangeable. Outside of what you said, I think those would make a lot of sense. That it's more sector specific. Energy is something I'm big on right now. So XLU is there in terms of the next story or the next moment I believe that's going to happen is there. And then I have this alternative 2, FDN, which is First Trust Dow Jones Internet Index. So when we were looking at how do we invest in Netflix, because I think Netflix is still not done. I think the Netflix story is incredible. We've been talking about it all year. When I was looking at who has the largest allocation of Netflix in the portfolio from an ETF standpoint, FDN was the largest at 9%. It actually was number 1 that got passed. Now I think Meta has taken its spot as the number 1 spot in the ETF. But I think that one's an interesting one if we talk about the Internet of Things and how that's working. And then a new one. You know what? I'm gonna save that one. I'll save that for Sunday.
Yeah, and once again, you don't need 5.
You don't need them, but I'll save that.
Yeah, you don't need 5. Lock in on 2. Pick the 2. Put the rest into the companies that are going to dominate and move the GDP of America.
That's it. So there you go, folks.
Like if we talk on ball, who can hit a game winner for America? It's a few companies that can do that.
Handful. Maybe maybe one handful.
Yes.
With government shutdown, how should future traders proceed?
Don't change your plan. If the government shutdown is wrecking your trading, you need to reevaluate your plan from the beginning. Your target should stay the same. I know somebody asked me, should I scalp a particular set of futures and swing swing and scalp the same ones. The target should not change based on macroeconomic environment. So a lot of investing and trading comes down to, can you do the same thing over and over again? There's a reason why, regardless of whatever tech issues we're having today, Market Monday still came on Mondays. It wasn't this Saturday. Stay locked in. If you can get 12 great trades on the year, do 6 short-term targets, 6 long-term, you'll be good. Then take 50% of the money, put it into long-term assets, NVIDIA, etc., Microsoft, and then let those profits roll for a 5 or 10 year period. Investing in trading is really easy. It's really just overcoming the hurdles of unworthiness, telling you that you should not attain this level of wealth that you want to get to. But I'm going to tell you, especially in this administration, you're going to need the money. you're gonna need the money. Like things are going to become so expensive. We'll talk about it on Blackout that most people are going to be priced out of most things. You have to invest.
Yeah.
Right now, it's invest or die. Right now, you have no choice.
What's the best investment that you can make? Education has to be up there for sure. IanInvest.com, Red Panda Stock Club has made millionaires.
For sure.
One of these things is you have to stop spending money. You know, it's like that thing of it's like sometimes you spend money to make money. That's in business, that's in proper education. Sometimes you spend money to waste money. That's like Goodfellas.
The PPPs of the world.
Yeah, Goodfellas when they robbed the Lufthansa heist, and he was telling everybody like, "Yo, don't spend any money. Just wait. Just don't spend any money." And guy shows up with a mink coat. His wife had
You bought a Cadillac?
And
take it back. Take it back.
If Jadakiss had a good line, he said, "Old head used to tell me money. It used to tell me if you can't save money, you're useless, and the only thing you ever gonna have is excuses. If you don't learn to save your money, the only thing you ever gonna have is excuses, and it's always somebody else's fault."
Yeah.
You ever know that? You ever notice that? Everybody that's broke it's always somebody else's fault why they're broke.
Yep.
There's never any self accountability for the decisions that you made. It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah. And I'll try and tell you, like, as the money increases, the lifestyle expenses don't have to. I know it's hard to because it don't look good on the gram. Freedom looks better than any of that shit you're gonna post in them carousels. That's the goal. The goal is to be free, not to look free.
The freedom.
Now y'all ask me, "Oh, why didn't you say that?" Bro, I'm free. That's why. But stack. I'm keep telling every entrepreneur that's great on earth is working harder than ever. It ain't because they don't want to go to fucking Hawaii for 9 weeks.
It's not time. It's not time to quit.
Not time.
Like I said, even the Jared Kushner thing, like if you like even the other dude that he was with, he's like, "Yo, I'm not," because he's like, "I'm not in business anymore. I'm retired." They're like, "Yeah, well, your family still is, and they still benefit." He's like, "Look, I paid my own way to go to." They are going to different countries,
hustling.
You have to. Nobody's not hustling right now. Like, if you feel like, who's not hustling right now? Like, who's really not hustling?
The chairman and CEO of BlackRock.
Yeah, outside with it. Yeah, outside.
And this is the interesting part. Even with the valuations of crypto and tech going up, no one ever mentions how they're going to get the dollar back on track to go up in value. They just said, "To hell with that. Let us invest in crypto."
Yeah, we're offering alternative.
No one will address it. What to do to increase the value of the dollar, to get home prices back where they should be, and even in the job market. They keep revising numbers. Like when I first got into investing, I never heard them talk about revising job numbers as frequently as they are now. The job market is in collapse. No one wants to say it. Everyone's working.
We didn't even get job numbers. Government shutdown.
Pivotal moment.
Yep.
Pivotal moment right now.
Right.
Everybody's working, everybody's traveling, and everybody's traveling. That's another thing too. If you really look at it, like Jensen Huang is all over the world. Palantir, Donald Trump, every week he's doing different deals, and they like everybody is taking a global approach.
You have to.
If you've really been paying attention, everybody's been all over. They've been in the UAE, they've been in China, they going back and forth to South America, they running around Africa. Like everybody's when we did Jack Dorsey, he was in, I have no idea where he was
undisclosed
at.
location.
He had a fan.
Thank you.
Undisclosed location.
But I really don't know.
I know.
Oh, working though.
But he had a fan, a mattress on the floor.
He was in his Jack Bauer phase.
It's grind mode right now.
And everyone's like, "Yo, why doesn't he have more?" He's already free. It's work time. A lot of y'all would rather look cute online than actually be free. No.
That's Siegel. Siegel shit. You get fresh when the war's over.
You dress cute when the war's over.
It's not This is not the time to spend frivolously on things that don't matter. Not the moment. This isn't the moment for that right now. It's a fucked up economy right now. It's the rich are doing better than ever before, and the vast majority of people are struggling. Money's drying up, and it's going to be less and less jobs as artificial intelligence gets more and more efficient. And the cost that we're going to talk about this on Blackout, the cost of living, the dollar is dropping at historic rates. Cost of house. I know a realtor. I was on her stories today. I seen she posted a some place in LA for $8,000 a month for rent on the Humble. Like the price of rent is going up tremendously. The price to buy a home is going up tremendously. The price of groceries, the price of school is going up tremendously, while jobs income is staying stagnant for 25 years. And while the dollar is
minimum wage
dropping, this
salary
is spooky. This is a recipe for spooky hours.
I remember when I called my dad in 2016, I'm like, why is BlackRock and Blackstone buying all these houses? Because they was buying them in like where I'm from, Gary, Cherville, Maryville. And he's like, well, if he's putting them on their balance sheets, they know something is about to happen. Real estate has a value that won't go away. Same thing in crypto. Every major hedge fund was anti-crypto 6 years ago. Now it's mandatory on the balance sheet. That is telling. That is telling. The value of the dollar is not going back up anytime soon. It's been in free fall since we got off the gold standard. It's not going to go back up. And other countries are looking like how America used to look.
And the thing about it too is, like I said, the people with money are making money at historic levels. Right. The stock market is at all-time high. Crypto has been booming. Gold is through the roof right now. Real estate is all-time highs. Anybody that has assets is making money. At historic levels. The problem is the vast majority of the people, the vast majority of our people have no assets or a low level of assets. That's the problem.
And as soon as it became in fashion for us to learn about this, look since 2020 how much they've driven the price of assets up. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah. But also look at the amount of brokerage accounts that have been open. So that's encouraging. So more people are doing it than before, but there's still so many that aren't.
Yeah, we got to move faster.
We got more. We need more.
Invest or die.
Invest or die. I mean, there's no other option, bro. Really.
Get rich or die trying.
There's no option.
50 cent, what that 50 cents?
Yeah, I saw somebody put in the chat, what about NEE, Next Era Energy? And so that, I mean, again, this energy is going to have its moment, but which is why I just said the ETF, that leads the XLU ETF. And so not as much risk when you put it inside the ETF, which is why we always recommend that. So yeah, that's why I said XLU.
Yep. Deploy the capital into investments though.
Got to. Yep. No, you got to.
Yep.
You got to.
Keep the lifestyle expenses down. Get out of debt as quickly as you can. Own things free and clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the crazy part is that, not even crazy part, but the 6 years of Market Mondays, the people who started early, I mean,
are cooking.
But even the people who started this year.
Yeah. If you listen in April, you're cooking.
You're cooking. Yeah. So now it's like, how do we get more people? How do we make sure that we have a plan? How do we make sure that we continue to invest? This is not just a 1 year thing. And oh wait, I made this money and now I'm out the market. No, you gotta stay in this.
A drought is coming. A drought is coming. Keep your avoid large purchases and keep your monthly expenses low.
Low at all costs.
Keep your monthly expenses low. Avoid large purchases. Invest when you see opportunity to invest.
Yep.
All right, quick earnings report because it's a big week. It's the start of that big season for earnings. We got Netflix tomorrow after closing. We got Coca-Cola before. We got RTX. 3M is reporting tomorrow. We got Tesla on Wednesday after close. GE Vernova, we've been talking about that one. GEV is the ticker. They will be reporting Wednesday before opening. Vertiv also will be reporting before opening. What else we got? We got Intel. That'll be interesting to see on Thursday. Intel will be reporting. Honeywell, and then we got some big ones next week. I think P&G is the big one on Friday, but
yeah,
some big, huge companies will be reporting, and that's the start in the cycle. Next week, we're going to see Microsoft, we're going to see Apple, we'll see Meta as well.
To the CEO of Starbucks, you saying that you're going all in on AI is not going to fix the sugar problem that you have in your company either, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not. I saw that. I read that. I just didn't know what he meant by it.
He's trying to keep his job.
His track record is.
He got a tremendous track record.
We can't knock it. He's
great.
He's done an amazing job.
Unless he called Elon and get them little robots and then get the human capital off the balance sheet.
He got a tremendous track record.
He's done it. I mean, we can't knock it. And he's the highest paid. I think he's the highest paid CEO in the country.
I think if not top 3, yeah.
No, I don't know about that.
He's not?
He can't be. Elon Musk.
Well, he's
$1 trillion package.
He's the
founder, though.
But he's still CEO.
Yeah, he is.
He's not the founder. Never was a founder.
Yes, no, that definitely wasn't founder.
Elon Musk is not a founder of
Tesla.
Anything.
No, well, SpaceX and Starlink.
Starlink.
Yeah.
Founder of Starlink. But he's definitely not a founder of Tesla. Definitely not a founder.
He's number 2
of PayPal.
Yeah,
he came in. He brought the company over. That's we got to do a whole case study of how that happened.
He's number 2.
Well, yeah, they just not counting Elon because he got $1 trillion package.
Yeah,
that's not it though. Damn, Patrick Smith making 164. Damn.
No, this is.
Can you talk about an option play that you did in EY University or last year during the mastermind?
Oh man! Shout out to everybody that was part of that. And so that was we went into the year thinking about where we were headed to next, and so we have 4 core companies that we spoke about, and Vertiv was one of them. So shout out to everybody that was in that call. Vertiv was one. Arista Networks, ticker ANET was another, and I think the biggest gainer was Celestica, a company that I just had been studying for about 6 months and saw how they were changing their business model. Again, saw one of those metrics that I was looking for, right? Who are their hyperscaler partners? Meta, Google, Microsoft are all part of them. Watch how I had pulled back and just thought this is an opportune time to invest in it. And so we could talk about all those companies, Micron, we can talk about TSM, we can talk about AMD, but none of them have performed better than CLS this year.
Yeah, it took off.
I think it's like up 197%, just quietly just making a killing. And definitely making an indent in the portfolio for sure. But it was one of those things. If you got that information at the opportune time and you executed on it, these are the rewards of it. And the strategy we've always used is make sure that we buy time. How are we going to buy time? And so, we got the call out to 2026. Then we, as that kept rising, we said, all right, well, the 130s passed. Let's go for the 160. And so we get the 160. And now CLS is trading at where are we at now? We're at 273, right? So we're talking about, I believe one of them is up 600%, the other one's like 470%. And so that's the power of information. That's the power of doing research and really tracking a company. Like before I made that investment, before I decided like, hey, we're going to tell this to the community, let me watch it for 6 months. Let me not make the investment here. Now we're confident this is the time. And then we had a deeper pullback, obviously, with DeepSeek and everything in AI. And so it became even a more opportune time. So some people got it in even lower than we did. But yeah, we've been reaping the benefits of it. And that's the power. That's the power of making sure that you're in the right place all the time, right? It's not about being in the place, be in the right place all the time, executing on information. Yeah. And these are the benefits, man.
I know somebody brought up Beyond Meat, but it was at 50 cents just because it jumped up to $1.70. Beyond Meat CEO needs to be fired. Well, not fired. They need to take the company private. It's not a public. That was a good move for COVID era, but going back to investing in companies with real value, no.
Yeah.
Several.
Yeah.
It's been a
Yeah, beyond what hit its peak during them COVID years.
Yep.
Yeah, that mastermind was pretty epic. You know, we did the mastermind last year. That was epic because we don't do events anymore for Market Mondays. So that mastermind was definitely something that was, man, information.
Life-changing.
Keys open doors.
That's a fact. That was a
Keys open doors.
thing we cooked. You were up there for probably like an hour 15. I went for an hour 45. Just straight information.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that happens.
And we
maybe.
had AI.
And we had AI and
For
watched it
sure.
happen in real time.
Mm-hmm.
Keys open doors.
That's a fact.
That level of access information, man, it's like,
High return.
That's a fact. Because at the end of the day, 90% of the stocks on the stock market are not good investments. That's why the theory is just buy an index fund, because it's like, all right, that's the safest way to go. But if you buy individual stocks, there's not a lot of good individual stocks. If you just randomly pick a stock, you're gonna lose money probably.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stocks are not good stocks and they go down.
Yeah.
There's only a few that's actually there's only a few stocks that's actually worth putting money into.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like going to TJ Maxx trying to find that one thing out of a bunch of, clearance rack. Like, you either got to know specifically what you're doing or you just get lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But luck only lasts so long.
For sure.
Keys opens.
So I'm here to guide you. Listen, if I made you money, please put yes in chat. I have to tell you.
Please.
Tricky environment, Leah. And even with the Russell 2000 melting up, look at the companies and the returns they had over the last 2 years and how long it took for the Russell to even push up. They had to have triple-digit gains for that to happen. Scary times. I've never seen indexes have performers so strong in like the top 4 and then the rest be subpar. So,
absolutely.
Yep.
EYO University, we're having our regional meetup in DC this Saturday. We will be in DC. It also happens to be Howard Homecoming, so pull up on us.
That's well timed and well planned.
For sure. It's actually just a random coincidence, but nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens
for real
in the correct time, divine order. Red Panda Stock Club call this weekend. Market Mondays. You can watch the replay if you missed the show. Download it on all audio apps, Apple and Spotify. We got Blackout coming out 10 o'clock on Wednesday. We got Earn Your Leisure episode. Shark Tank's Own. We got Boy Robert. It's coming out 6 o'clock on Thursday. So we're gonna keep going until it's over. But
when is that? Miami, DC prefer Versace.
Target date. Target date one.
And the great part is if you're disciplined though, this is probably one of the best environments as an entrepreneur to get rich in. Kudos to all the entrepreneurs who just head down. It is not party time. It is time. For those of you who don't, this is like COVID all over again without the virus being floated around. Time to lock in. Magic next 3-15, lock in. You can go party after.
Ain't no parties,
shout
man.
out to Angelo. He said, best stocks to buy right now, question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation, question mark, exclamation, question mark.
We just went over this all for the last 2 hours.
Somebody help him. Somebody help him.
Yeah.
Somebody help him.
NVIDIA. Which one over them? TSM, ASML. Pick 4. Lean on 4. You only need 4.
We literally just spoke about this for 2 hours.
But maybe he just got turned into the channel. Let's have
somebody else.
grace.
That's what community is about, though, right? Like somebody gonna be like, listen, man, let me help you.
Yeah. Index first, VO. So it covers everything. And then after that, Microsoft. NVIDIA.
I mean, but we literally said we talked about Apple, we talked about AMD, we talked about Microsoft, we talked about TSM, we talked about MU, we talked about VO.
Yeah, he just got in. Don't bully my guy. Let's see. Good cop, bad cop. Sorry.
We also talked about Bitcoin. We talked about gold.
Real estate in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure.
Yeah, those.
I'm not sure.
If only there was a show that provided information on a weekly basis
Oh man.
about stocks and crypto and what not to do, best money practices. If only.
If only. Sounds like a great
It would be
idea.
a great idea. Also, too, Visa and American Express in combination are two great investments as well.
Love
too.
Visa. Still in the portfolio.
For sure. I told you when we ran into him at the. I never heard a person not want to talk about the economy that ran a company that controlled the economy. So I said, "Oh, y'all cooking."
Hey, brother Obi said, "Don't sleep on Intel or Johnson & Johnson." Brother Obi,
Johnson & Johnson is good. Intel is
I'm
still
not
not a great
sleeping on
company.
Intel. I'm just not invested in Intel. If you are, and yeah, I've seen it. It's had some gains. Congrats, man. I'm proud.
Yeah,
I'm proud to hear that.
Get your
and
coin.
I'm proud of you. Yeah.
Get your coin.
Yeah, and Uber too. We didn't. Uber. Maybe we'll talk about next week. But
if you're an Uber driver, though, you better learn how to offboard to something else. Though
that moment,
you got 15 months.
It's brewing.
Yeah,
it's brewing.
Yeah,
that moment's brewing.
B Mike, any advice on trading futures? Yeah, we'll cover it next week. Or be on a stock club call this Sunday.
That's gonna be fun, man. That's gonna be fun.
We've hit the 2-hour mark. Say travels out there.
Somebody said, "Big homie, what you think about NVTS semiconductor core?" The semiconductors that I enjoy to invest in and follow, they're in SMH and they're in the top 5 in SMH.
Yep.
That doesn't mean that there aren't semiconductors out there that make a lot of sense and you can make some trades on. I'm talking about the ones I like to tell people because
for long
it's
term,
an easier explanation as to why they should be invested in those companies.
And they're just superior companies. If you're trading it, cool. Maybe you start to look to take a little bit of profit. But the end in the semiconductor space is NVIDIA. For sure.
Yeah. I would start there and then look at the ecosystem that's created around them.
TSM. ASML.
Yeah.
Today cheat sheet day. Today ain't the time for
Yeah. This ain't because like we start doing things like that, like somebody might say like on semi, like I understand it. That's for, if you're talking about autonomous driving, if you're talking about EVs, it makes a lot of sense. But there's still opportunities in the ones we're talking about. So we gotta stay there.
Park. Show your love. Terrence J, what's the deal?
Yeah.
My guy.
All right, man. Y'all know how this works. Be good to each other. Hit somebody up on the phone, text them, call them, reach out to your people. Spread love to your people. Love is love, y'all. Y'all be good. Blackout Wednesday, EYL Thursday, DC. We on the way.
Leave no bag.
Please.
Leave no. That's the last thing I'm telling you, man. If you're really out here chasing and you get into it, man, you gotta take every single bag. And that's one thing that Rick Ross, man. Say what you want about Ross. I never seen somebody get every single bag and not miss nothing. You never know.
Yep.
You never know.
Take it, convert it to the market.
Keep a bag. Keep a bag coming. Hey, Ross, we booked Ross for Invest Fest. He had a show in New York. He did the show in New York. He came to Invest Fest, and then he flew back to New York to host a strip club that night. Keep a bag coming.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We out. Be good. Love is love.
Peace.
Peace.